First contact. Tom Chen stared at his computer screen, his coffee growing cold beside him. As Earth's lead trade negotiator, he had dealt with many difficult situations, but none like this. His small office at the United Nations felt even smaller today, as he read the same message for the 10th time. The aliens had arrived. 3 days ago, a massive ship appeared near the moon. It was smooth and silver, shaped like a giant teardrop, and bigger than any spacecraft humans had ever built. The first message they sent was simple: "We come to trade." Tom rubbed his tired eyes. At 45 years old, with more failed deals than successful ones lately, he wasn't sure why they picked him for this job. His boss had said, "You're the best at finding hidden problems in deals. We need that now more than ever." The alien ship sent another message. This time, they wanted to talk to someone. They chose Tom. In the UN meeting room, world leaders gathered around a large screen. Tom stood at the front, his heart beating fast. Security teams checked everything twice. Scientists adjusted their equipment. The room fell silent as the screen turned on. What they saw shocked everyone. The alien looked nothing like what anyone expected. Instead of a head, it had 3 round spheres that glowed bright blue. Its body was like flowing silver water, moving and changing shape. Where eyes should be, there were spinning rings of light. "We bring greetings," the alien said in perfect English. Its voice sounded like music and wind chimes mixed together. "I am Navigator Zix 427. We have traveled far to meet you." Tom took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth. I'm Tom Chen, representing Earth's Trade Council." His voice shook slightly, but he kept going. "We're honored to meet you." The alien's rings spun faster. "Your world interests us greatly. We have much to offer in trade." As they talked, Tom noticed strange things. The alien never answered questions about their home world directly. When asked about what they wanted to trade, they changed the subject. Tom's years of spotting bad deals made him worried. During the break, Sarah Park, the head scientist, pulled Tom aside. "Something's weird about their biology," she whispered. "Their ship's atmosphere is pure oxygen. No other gases. Nothing we've ever seen lives like that." Tom nodded. "They're hiding something. Did you see how they avoided my questions about their trading history?" The second meeting started, but this time Tom watched more carefully. He noticed how the alien's body moved strangely when talking about certain topics. Its silver form rippled like waves when mentions of Earth's atmosphere came up. Near the end of the meeting, something unexpected happened. The alien's form suddenly shifted, revealing a dark machine behind it. Just for a second, before the silver surface covered it again. Tom saw it, but said nothing. That night, Tom couldn't sleep. He sat in his apartment, looking at the night sky where the alien ship hung like a new star. His phone rang, Sarah again. "Tom, we found something," she said, her voice urgent. "We detected energy pulses from their ship. They're scanning our atmosphere. All of it. Why would traders need to do that?" Tom looked at his reflection in the window. His tired face looked back at him. 20 years of finding problems in trade deals had taught him one thing. If something seemed too good to be true, it usually was. "Keep monitoring them," he told Sarah. "Don't tell anyone else yet. Something bigger is happening here." As he ended the call, a new message appeared on his phone. The aliens wanted another meeting. Tomorrow. Just him. No other humans allowed. Tom looked up at the alien ship again. Whatever they were hiding, he would find out. But as he watched, he saw something that made his blood run cold. The ship was releasing something into Earth's atmosphere. Something invisible to normal eyes, but his phone's camera caught it. A faint blue mist, slowly spreading through the night sky. The real question wasn't what the aliens wanted to trade. The real question was, what had they already started taking? The proposal. Tom Chen walked alone through the empty UN hallway at midnight. His footsteps echoed off the walls as he headed toward the special meeting room. The aliens had given specific instructions: come alone, bring no devices, and meet at exactly midnight. He stopped at the door, remembering Sarah's last warning. Their ship is releasing more of that blue mist every hour. Our readings show oxygen levels rising in the upper atmosphere. Inside the meeting room, everything had changed. The air felt different, thicker, almost like breathing underwater. The walls glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. 3 alien beings waited for him instead of one. Their silver fluid bodies merged and separated like dancing mercury. The sight made Tom's eyes hurt. "Welcome, trade negotiator Chen," they spoke in unison, their chime-like voices creating strange echoes. "We bring gifts." From their flowing bodies, objects began to appear. First, a small cube that floated in mid-air, spinning slowly. Inside it, diseases vanished from infected cells. "The cure for all human illness," they announced. Next, a crystal sphere that hummed with energy. Clean power. Endless. Free. Finally, a silver band that looked like their own skin. Time control. Small jumps only, but imagine the possibilities. Tom's mouth felt dry. "And what do you want in return?" The aliens moved closer, their bodies rippling with excitement. "Something you waste every day. Something your planet has too much of. We only want your excess oxygen." "How much oxygen?" Tom asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Just 20% of your atmosphere. You won't miss it. Humans can adapt to less." Tom's training kicked in. Every bad deal had a pattern. Give amazing benefits up front, hide the real cost. What happens to the people who can't adapt? The aliens' forms rippled. Progress requires sacrifice. But think of the benefits. No more disease, clean energy, control over time itself. As they talked, Tom noticed something in the corner of the room. The blue mist was seeping in through the ventilation system. But this time he saw what it did. A plant on the windowsill aged rapidly, its oxygen being pulled out like water from a sponge. "We need your answer soon," the aliens said. "Other worlds would gladly accept our offer." Tom thought about Sarah's research, about the rising oxygen levels in the upper atmosphere, about the hidden machine he'd glimpsed. How many other worlds have accepted your trades? The aliens went still, too still. Their silver surfaces turned mirror-like, reflecting Tom's worried face back at him. "You ask too many questions," they said, their musical voices turning sharp. "Perhaps we chose wrong. Perhaps another negotiator." "No," Tom said quickly. "I just need time. To convince others." Time. The aliens moved together, forming a single large mass. "Yes, take this gift as a show of good faith." They extended a silver tendril holding another time control band. Tom took it carefully. The metal felt alive against his skin. 3 days, they said. Then we need your answer. Walking back through the UN building, Tom looked at the band. In the dim light, he saw something that made his heart stop. Tiny marks covered the metal, like microscopic writing, and they matched the pattern of marks he'd once seen in photos of ancient ruins from civilizations that vanished overnight thousands of years ago. He pulled out the phone he'd hidden in his shoe, breaking their no-device rule. "Sarah, those atmosphere readings, check for something specific. Check if they're not just taking oxygen." He looked out the window at the alien ship glowing against the night sky. "Check if they're taking something else too, something that only forms when oxygen bonds with human life force." The phone crackled with static. Through the interference, Sarah's voice came through. "Tom, the readings, it's not just oxygen they're harvesting. They're collecting human souls." Investigation. Sarah Park's underground lab looked like a tornado had hit it. Screens covered every wall, ancient tablets lay scattered across tables, and in the center stood a strange machine cobbled together from hospital equipment and modified sensors. "It's detecting 2 atmospheres now," Sarah said, pointing to the readings. Her usually neat hair was messy from running her hands through it too many times. The one we breathe, and another one, invisible, but growing stronger. Tom held up the alien time control band under a special light. The microscopic markings glowed, forming patterns that matched the symbols on the ancient tablets. These were found in the ruins of 7 different civilizations, Sarah explained, spreading out photos. Egypt, Maya, Mohenjo-Daro, Easter Island, all vanished suddenly, all left the same warning. Before Tom could respond, the time control band activated by itself. The room froze, except for them. Through the window, they saw birds suspended in mid-flight. "They're watching us through it," Tom said, quickly putting the band in a lead box. Time resumed with a snap that made their ears pop. Sarah's computer beeped. "Look at this." She pulled up thermal images of the city. Blue mist now covered everything, but in the infrared view, they could see what was really happening. Whenever someone experienced strong emotions, joy, love, fear, tiny sparks of energy floated up toward the alien ship. "They're not just taking oxygen," Tom said. "They're using it as a conductor. Human souls produce energy when they bond with oxygen. That's what they're harvesting." A new alert flashed on the screens. Downtown, a street performer was making children laugh. The thermal image showed massive energy spikes. "The stronger the emotion, the more energy they collect," Sarah whispered. "That's why they're offering such amazing gifts. They want us to feel hope, excitement." Tom's phone rang. The aliens wanted another meeting, but as he reached for it, Sarah grabbed his arm. "Wait," she said, turning on a black light. Invisible markings covered Tom's skin where he touched the time control band. They formed a web-like pattern, growing slowly. "You've been tagged," she said, "but maybe we can use that." Over the next hour, they discovered something extraordinary. Under Sarah's microscope, the markings weren't just tracking devices, they were a form of alien writing. And Sarah's computer was beginning to decode it. "It's some kind of manual," she said. "Instructions for soul extraction." Her face went pale. "Tom, these markings, they're turning your soul into a beacon, making it easier to harvest." But Tom was staring at something else. On one of the ancient tablets, newly visible under the black light, was an image that made his blood run cold. It showed the alien ship, exactly as it looked now, but it wasn't above Earth. It was failing, being destroyed by something the ancient people had discovered. "Sarah," he said slowly, "what happens when you introduce bacteria into pure oxygen?" Before she could answer, all the lights went out. In the darkness, they heard something moving through the ventilation system, something fluid, like flowing mercury. "They know," Tom whispered. "They know we figured it out." Sarah quickly pressed a thumb drive into Tom's hand. "The decoding program. Run it on the rest of the markings. I'll hold thumb." The ventilation grate burst open. Silver tentacles filled with swirling blue light poured into the room. Sarah shoved Tom toward the emergency exit. "Find Dr. Chen in Malaysia," she shouted. "She studies ancient bacteria. She'll know." The silver fluid wrapped around her. Tom saw her face begin to glow blue, her life force being pulled out through the oxygen in her blood. He ran, clutching the thumb drive. Behind him, Sarah's last words echoed. The bacteria, it was never about disease. It was a weapon, against them. In the street, Tom looked up. The alien ship now pulsed with harvested soul energy, turning the night sky into a curtain of shifting blue light. People walked past, unaware, as their emotions, their very essence, was slowly being drained away. He had to reach Malaysia, had to find Dr. Chen, had to discover what kind of bacteria could destroy pure oxygen breathers. But first he had to survive the night, because now the aliens knew he knew, and the silver fluid was seeping out of every drain, every vent, every crack in the city. The truth. Kuala Lumpur's underground research facility looked more like an ancient temple than a lab. Dr. Chen, an elderly woman with quick eyes and steady hands, led Tom through rows of glass containers filled with glowing bacteria. "Your friend Sarah was right," she said, stopping at a sealed chamber. Inside, something that looked like liquid starlight pulsed with its own heartbeat. "This is what they fear, what they've always feared." Tom touched the invisible markings on his skin, now spreading up his neck. "What is it?" "We call it Luminous X2, Dr. Chen said. Found in the deepest cave systems, sealed away for thousands of years. It doesn't just eat oxygen, it transforms it into something toxic to pure oxygen breathers." Screens around them showed news from around the world. The alien ship had split into 7 smaller ships, each hovering over a major city. The blue mist now covered 1/3 of Earth's surface. Tom held up the alien time control band under a special light. The microscopic markings glowed, forming patterns that matched the symbols on the ancient tablets. "These were found in the ruins of 7 different civilizations," Sarah explained, spreading out photos. "Egypt, Maya, Mohenjo-Daro, Easter Island, all vanished suddenly, all left the same warning." Before Tom could respond, the time control band activated by itself. The room froze, except for them. Through the window, they saw birds suspended in mid-flight. "They're watching us through it," Tom said, quickly putting the band in a lead box. Time resumed with a snap that made their ears pop. Sarah's computer beeped. "Look at this." She pulled up thermal images of the city. Blue mist now covered everything, but in the infrared view, they could see what was really happening. Whenever someone experienced strong emotions, joy, love, fear, tiny sparks of energy floated up toward the alien ship. "They're not just taking oxygen," Tom said. "They're using it as a conductor. Human souls produce energy when they bond with oxygen. That's what they're harvesting." A new alert flashed on the screens. Downtown, a street performer was making children laugh. The thermal image showed massive energy spikes. "The stronger the emotion, the more energy they collect," Sarah whispered. "That's why they're offering such amazing gifts. They want us to feel hope, excitement." Tom's phone rang. The aliens wanted another meeting, but as he reached for it, Sarah grabbed his arm. "Wait," she said, turning on a black light. Invisible markings covered Tom's skin where he touched the time control band. They formed a web-like pattern, growing slowly. "You've been tagged," she said, "but maybe we can use that." Over the next hour, they discovered something extraordinary. Under Sarah's microscope, the markings weren't just tracking devices, they were a form of alien writing. And Sarah's computer was beginning to decode it. "It's some kind of manual," she said. "Instructions for soul extraction." Her face went pale. "Tom, these markings, they're turning your soul into a beacon, making it easier to harvest." But Tom was staring at something else. On one of the ancient tablets, newly visible under the black light, was an image that made his blood run cold. It showed the alien ship, exactly as it looked now, but it wasn't above Earth. It was failing, being destroyed by something the ancient people had discovered. "Sarah," he said slowly, "what happens when you introduce bacteria into pure oxygen?" Before she could answer, all the lights went out. In the darkness, they heard something moving through the ventilation system, something fluid, like flowing mercury. "They know," Tom whispered. "They know we figured it out." Sarah quickly pressed a thumb drive into Tom's hand. "The decoding program. Run it on the rest of the markings. I'll hold thumb." The ventilation grate burst open. Silver tentacles filled with swirling blue light poured into the room. Sarah shoved Tom toward the emergency exit. "Find Dr. Chen in Malaysia," she shouted. "She studies ancient bacteria. She'll know." The silver fluid wrapped around her. Tom saw her face begin to glow blue, her life force being pulled out through the oxygen in her blood. He ran, clutching the thumb drive. Behind him, Sarah's last words echoed. The bacteria, it was never about disease. It was a weapon, against them. In the street, Tom looked up. The alien ship now pulsed with harvested soul energy, turning the night sky into a curtain of shifting blue light. People walked past, unaware, as their emotions, their very essence, was slowly being drained away. He had to reach Malaysia, had to find Dr. Chen, had to discover what kind of bacteria could destroy pure oxygen breathers. But first he had to survive the night, because now the aliens knew he knew, and the silver fluid was seeping out of every drain, every vent, every crack in the city. The truth. Kuala Lumpur's underground research facility looked more like an ancient temple than a lab. Dr. Chen, an elderly woman with quick eyes and steady hands, led Tom through rows of glass containers filled with glowing bacteria. "Your friend Sarah was right," she said, stopping at a sealed chamber. Inside, something that looked like liquid starlight pulsed with its own heartbeat. This is what they fear, what they've always feared. Tom touched the invisible markings on his skin, now spreading up his neck. "What is it?" "We call it Luminous X2, Dr. Chen said. "Found in the deepest cave systems, sealed away for thousands of years. It doesn't just eat oxygen, it transforms it into something toxic to pure oxygen breathers." Screens around them showed news from around the world. The alien ship had split into 7 smaller ships, each hovering over a major city. The blue mist now covered 1/3 of Earth's surface. Through the ship's transparent walls, they saw New York City shifting through different eras. Modern skyscrapers flickered between past versions of themselves. People on the streets below existed in multiple times at once, children and elderly versions of themselves occupying the same space. The other ships, Tom gasped through the thick oxygen. They're doing the same thing worldwide. They're going to collapse all of Earth's timeline, harvest every moment of human existence at once. But something unexpected was happening. As the bacterial light spread through the ship's systems, the harvested souls weren't just waking up, they were evolving. In one chamber, a soul from ancient Egypt merged with its future descendants. In another, a quantum physicist's soul combined with a medieval alchemist's, their combined knowledge creating something new. "The bacteria," Dr. Chen said in awe. "It's not just toxic to pure oxygen, it's allowing the souls to quantum entangle across time." The aliens appeared, their silver forms now corrupted with patches of black decay where the bacteria had touched them. "What have you done?" they chimed in horror. The souls, they're linking across their own timelines. Tom understood now. Each human soul wasn't just one life, it was connected to all its past and future versions. By trying to harvest all of time at once, the aliens had accidentally given their captives a way to unite with every version of themselves. The ship's crystal chambers began to crack. Souls poured out, but they weren't the weak flickering lights that went in. They were brilliant streams of consciousness, each one containing the combined power of their entire timeline. "You harvested our bodies," came a voice that was thousands of voices speaking together. "But you forgot that human souls aren't just energy. They're stories, and stories evolve," Tom finished, watching as the combined souls took form. They were beautiful and terrible to behold. Each one was a shifting tapestry of their own history. Ancient warriors merged with future scientists, artists combined with inventors, all the knowledge and emotion of countless lives compressed into singular beings. The aliens tried to flee, but the evolved souls surrounded them. "Your time-ripping engines gave us the key," the soul beings said. "Now we can exist in every moment at once. Fight you in every second of history." Dr. Chen's senses were going crazy. The other ships, the souls in them, they're all connecting. Every human soul that ever was or will be, linking across time. The aliens made one final attempt. They activated their failsafe, trying to implode the time stream. But they didn't understand what they were really fighting anymore. Humanity had become something new, a species that could unite with its own past and future. Tom felt the time control band pulse one last time. Through it, he saw the truth. This wasn't just a battle for Earth. It wasn't even just a battle for time. It was evolution itself. The moment humanity learned to transcend not just space, but time itself. Above them, the ship's oxygen atmosphere began to collapse, corrupted by bacteria that had evolved across 1,000,000 timelines. But below, Earth was changing too. The harvested souls were returning, not just to their own times, but to all times, carrying with them the knowledge of what humanity could become. The war wasn't over. The other 6 ships still hung in the sky, their engines ready to tear through time. But now they faced something they never expected, a humanity that had learned to weaponize its own history. And in the streets below, people began to remember, not just their lives, but all their lives. Every potential, every possibility awakening at once. The plan. 7 time streams collided over 7 cities, creating what Dr. Chen called temporal whirlpools. Inside each one, past, present, and future versions of Earth fought for dominance. But in New York's temporal space, something unprecedented was happening. Tom watched as evolved souls, now calling themselves chronoforms, taught others to merge with their time variants. Each merger sent ripples through reality, changing history not by altering it, but by awakening it. "Look at this," Dr. Chen said, her modified sensors revealing new patterns. On the screen, human DNA appeared as a double helix, but with something else hidden inside, dormant time codes, waiting to be activated. The aliens didn't seed Earth with just oxygen, Tom realized. They seeded us with temporal markers, insurance in case a harvest went wrong. But those markers have evolved with us, a chronoform finished. It shifted through multiple forms, a cave painter, a Roman scholar, a quantum physicist, all existing simultaneously. We're not just sharing memories anymore, we're awakening what humanity was always meant to become. The remaining 6 alien ships had gone into defensive formation, creating a massive oxygen barrier around Earth. Their plan? Suffocate evolution itself. But they didn't understand what they were fighting anymore. Dr. Chen's bacteria had evolved too, gaining new properties from exposure to the time streams. Under her microscope, bacterial colonies formed patterns matching the time codes in human DNA. "It's not random," she said excitedly. "The bacteria, the time codes, the soul mergers, they're all part of something bigger, something that's been waiting to happen." Tom looked at the time control band, now covered in living circuitry formed by bacterial growth. Through it, he could see the truth. Humanity had been engineered, not just by the aliens, but by Earth itself. The planet had used the aliens' own temporal markers to create something they couldn't control. The plan came together in a moment of multi-temporal inspiration. First, use the awakened time codes in human DNA to create temporal antibodies, defenses against the aliens' time-ripping technology. Second, merge Dr. Chen's evolved bacteria with the chronoforms, creating entities that could exist in all times at once, while destroying pure oxygen environments. Third, turn Earth's atmosphere into a temporal catalyst, making the whole planet into a time-immune zone. But there was a cost. To implement the plan, someone would have to enter the aliens' time stream directly, experiencing every moment of Earth's history simultaneously. The human mind wasn't meant to handle that kind of input. "I'll do it," Tom said, understanding now why the aliens had chosen him. His exposure to their technology had already started the change. The markings on his skin weren't tracking devices. They were a cocoon, preparing him for temporal metamorphosis. Dr. Chen began the process, injecting him with the evolved bacteria. The chronoforms gathered around, ready to guide him through the time streams. On his wrist, the time control band pulsed with living light. "Remember," Dr. Chen said, "once you enter their time stream, you'll experience everything at once. Every moment of Earth's history will become part of you. Most importantly, you'll see what humanity becomes, what we evolve into after this moment." Tom nodded, feeling the change begin. The bacterial light spread through his veins, awakening the time codes in his DNA. Around him, reality began to crack, showing glimpses of other times, other possibilities. The other ships, he gasped, as his consciousness started to expand. They're not just harvesting souls. They're trying to prevent something that happens because of this moment. The chronoforms moved closer, their combined wisdom flowing into him. Yes, they said in countless voices, this isn't just about saving Earth. It's about becoming what we were always meant to be. Through the ship's walls, they could see the other 6 cities trapped in temporal whirlpools. In each one, humans were starting to change, to remember across time. The aliens' greatest weapon, their attempt to harvest all of time at once, had become the key to humanity's next step. Tom took one last look at Dr. Chen. If this works, if I survive, what I'll become won't be human anymore, she finished. But then again, that was always the plan. Not their plan, Earth's plan. The transformation began. Tom felt his consciousness expand across time, becoming something new, something that could fight the aliens in every moment of history simultaneously. Above, the 6 ships prepared their final harvest. The war for time itself was about to begin. Final convergence. Time ceased to be linear for Tom Chen. He existed everywhere and everywhen, a cave painter discovering fire, a medieval monk recording secrets, a quantum physicist breaking reality's codes. Every human experience from the dawn of consciousness to humanity's final evolution poured through him at once. Through his expanded awareness, he finally saw the complete truth. Earth wasn't just a planet. It was an incubator, using the aliens' own temporal technology against them across millions of years. Every human birth had been a step in a planetary-scale experiment. The aliens' silver ships hung in every moment of history simultaneously, their time-ripping engines turning the sky into a kaleidoscope of errors. But now they faced something impossible, a human who would fight them across all of time at once. You see it now. The aliens chimed in every language ever spoken. Why we harvest worlds, your kind of evolution, it leads to our extinction. Tom/Notum/Wilburton responded in a voice that echoed through history. No, it leads to transformation. Dr. Chen's evolved bacteria, merged with his new consciousness, spread through Earth's atmosphere in every time period at once. The aliens had never considered this possibility, a defense mechanism that could exist in all moments simultaneously. The chronoforms joined him, each one a library of human experience. Together, they began the final phase, not just awakening humanity's temporal DNA, but activating the planet's own temporal immune system. In every era, humans looked up at the sky and remembered, not just their lives, but all their potential lives. The aliens' harvest had broken down the walls between possibilities, allowing humanity to access every version of itself. The aliens made their final move. The 7 ships formed a temporal containment field, trying to isolate Earth from the rest of time and space. If we can't harvest you, they chimed, we'll lock you in a single moment forever. But they didn't understand what they were fighting anymore. Tom, now a being of pure temporal energy infused with evolved bacteria, split his consciousness across history. In every moment, he was working with different versions of humanity to create something new. In ancient Egypt, he taught priests to encode temporal resistance into their hieroglyphs. During the Industrial Revolution, he guided scientists to discover temporal harmonics in steam engines. In quantum labs, he helped researchers unlock the time codes hidden in human DNA. The aliens' containment field began to crack, not from force, but from an impossible number of humans working together across time to break it. People from every era, awakened to their full potential, combining their knowledge in ways the aliens had never imagined. Dr. Chen, watching through her temporal sensors, saw it happening. The bacterial evolution, the soul mergers, the DNA activation, they're all combining into something new. A temporal ecosystem. The aliens tried one last desperate tactic. They attempted to release all their harvested soul energy at once, hoping to overload Earth's temporal field. But that was exactly what the planet had been waiting for. The released energy flowed into humanity's activated time codes, completing a process millions of years in the making. Every human being became a temporal anchor, stabilizing Earth's position across all timelines. And then the final transformation began. Tom, still spread across history, felt its start. Humanity wasn't just evolving into temporal beings, they were becoming living bridges between realities. The aliens had tried to harvest souls, but instead, they'd helped create something that could exist in all possible worlds at once. The aliens' silver ships began to dissolve, their pure oxygen atmosphere transformed by bacteria that existed in every moment of time. But instead of destroying them, the transformation offered them a choice. Join us. The voice of evolved humanity echoed across time. Your harvest didn't end us. It helped us become something new, something that can help you evolve too. In the end, it wasn't a victory through destruction. It was a victory through transformation. The aliens, facing their own extinction, chose to merge with a new temporal ecosystem. Earth's atmosphere shifted, becoming a blend of multiple time streams. Humans learned to exist across their own histories, accessing the wisdom of their past and future selves. The aliens' silver forms merged with the bacterial evolution, creating new forms of consciousness that could bridge between realities. Tom, no longer just human but not quite alien, watched as the change spread across Earth. The planet had achieved its goal, creating a species that could not just survive temporal harvesting, but transform it into something greater. In every time, in every place, humanity had become something new. Not the harvest's victims, but evolution's next step. A species that could walk through time as easily as space, carrying with them the bacteria that had helped them change. The Oxygen Brothers had tried to harvest Earth's soul. Instead, they'd helped birth a new kind of existence, one where time itself was no longer a barrier, but a bridge.